Alright, so you have probably seen those headlines that look like they're screaming at you. You know, the ones billions wiped off the market in a single day, or investors lose everything as stocks tumble. It sounds terrifying, right? It sounds like there's a giant vault somewhere filled with cash and someone just walked in and set it on fire. But it got me thinking, and I think about this stuff way more than a normal person should. Where does that money actually go? If the world loses $1 billion in an afternoon, who has it now? Did it fall behind sofa? Did a billionaire accidentally delete a spreadsheet? The truth is actually a lot weirder and honestly kind of funny once you realize how much of our global economy is built on vibes. Just pure, unadulterated vibes. So today, let's talk about why everyone is waiting for the next big crash, why the world feels so shaky right now with everything going on in the Middle East and beyond, and what actually happens when the numbers go down. So starting with the grocery store logic. Let's break this down in a way that makes sense. Imagine you are at your local grocery store. You're standing in the aisle looking at the basic jar of pasta sauce. Usually that sauce costs $5. The store has 100 jars on the shelf. So in the store's mind, they have $500 sitting on that shelf. But then something happened. Maybe a news report comes out that that specific brand of sauce is not as healthy as it should be. Or maybe people just started feeling grumpy about that sauce. Suddenly, nobody wants to pay $5 for that sauce. To get anyone to buy it, the store has to change the price tag to, let's say, $3. Now, if you look at the value of that shelf, it's gone from $500 to $300, and $200 just vanished. But did $200 actually leave the store? No. There was never $500 in the cash register to begin with. There was just a bunch of glass jars and a collective agreement that they were worth $5 each. When that agreement changed, the wealth changed. The stock market is just a giant high-tech version of that grocery store shelf. When you hear a tech company lost $50 billion in market value, it just means people aren't willing to pay as much for their jars of sauce today as they were yesterday. It's a giant revolution of hope. Which brings us to the next point. What is hope value? We like to think of money as something solid. You can touch a coin, you can see the balance in your bank account, but the stock market runs on something called hope value. Think about it like this. Imagine you bought a rare vintage sneaker for $200. You're convinced that in a year, some collector will pay you $1,000 for it. In your head, you're already $800 richer. You're walking around with $1,000 value in your closet. But then the fashion trend changes. Suddenly, everyone thinks those sneakers are ugly. You try to sell them and the best offer you get is 50 bucks. You'll feel like you lost $950, but you didn't. You only ever spent $200 to begin with. That extra value was just your hope. It was a guess about what someone else might do in future. The stock market is basically millions of people all making guesses at the same time about what things will be worth later. When everyone is happy and confident, those guesses get really high. We call that euphoria. It's like a party where everyone convinced that the music will never stop and the party is just gonna keep going for the entire night or entire weekend. But when things get scary, like when there's instability in the world or geopolitical tension, that hope evaporates. And when the hope goes, the money goes with it. But again, it's just the expectation of money. And if this is making sense so far, you'll probably like what I talk about on this channel. I try to peel back the layers on all these weird financial rules that make life feel more stressful than it needs to be. If you want to keep hanging out and deconstructing the economy with me, go ahead and hit the like button and please hit subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton, and honestly, it's nice to know I'm not just talking to my own reflection in the monitor. Anyway, let's get back to the crash talk. Now, why is everyone so nervous? So why are we talking about this right now? Well, look around. The world is in a bit of mess. When things are peaceful, investors feel brave. They are willing to pay high prices because they assume tomorrow will look pretty much like today. But when peace breaks down, especially in places like Middle East that affect things like oil and global shipping, that bravery turns into anxiety. Imagine you're planning a backyard barbecue. You have bought the meat, the drinks, you're feeling great. That's like a bull market. But then you see a giant black cloud on the horizon. Is it going to rain? Maybe. You don't know for sure, but you start moving the chairs inside anyway. You stop buying extra supplies. You might even try to return the extra bags of ice you just bought. That's what's happening with the market. People see the black clouds of war and inflation and they start moving the chairs inside. They stop being hopeful. And remember, since the price of a stock is built on hope, as soon as people stop feeling hopeful, they start taking their money out of that stock. The demand for the shares of that stock goes down and the price drops. It's not necessarily that the companies have become worse at making products. It's just that the world has become a scarier place to own things in. Which brings us to the next point, the paper loss trap. Here's the part where people usually get hurt, and it's mostly a mental game. Imagine you own a house. One day you get to know that your house is worth half of what it used to be. Do you suddenly have less house? No. The roof is still there, the kitchen still works, you still have a place to sleep. You only lose money if you panic and you put a for sale sign in the yard and sell it to the first person who walks by for that lower price. If you just stay in the house and wait for, let's say, 5 years, the market might go back up and then you'll probably see that it's worth double again. The stock market is the same. If you have a retirement account and the market crashes by 20%, you haven't actually lost a single cent yet. You have a paper loss. It's a theoretical loss. It only becomes a realized loss when you hit that sell button. The system, though, is designed to make you want to hit that button. The news cycle, the flashing red numbers on your phone, the panic in people's voices, it's all designed to make you feel like you need to get out before it hits zero. But historically, it rarely hits zero. It just breathes. It goes up because of too much hope and it goes down because of too much fear. A real crash, the kind that makes into the history books, is different from a normal dip. A real crash is like a crowded theater where someone smells smoke. It doesn't even matter if there's a real fire. If one person screams and runs for the exit, 5 more people follow them, then 20, then 100. Pretty soon everyone is trampling each other to get out the door. In the stock market, this happens through panic selling. When prices start to drop, some people get scared and sell. That makes the price drop even more. And then other people have stop loss orders, which are basically automatic triggers that say, if the price hits this level, sell everything immediately. Suddenly, you have a computer-generated stampede. This is when hope value turns into realized disaster. People who were forced to sell or who panicked and sold at the bottom are the ones who actually lose the money. Where does that money go? In this case, it's transferred from one person who panicked to the other person who stayed calm and bought their shares for a discounted price. It's a brutal cycle. At the end of the day, the entire global financial system is held together by one thing, and it's all about confidence. It's not gold, it's not oil, it's just the collective belief that the system will work tomorrow. When the confidence is high, the market value of the world reaches trillions of dollars. When the confidence breaks, those trillions evaporate into thin air. Think about a currency. A $20 bill is just a piece of paper or plastic. You can't eat it, you can't wear it. It's only valuable because you are confident that the guy at the pizza shop will give you a pizza for it. If that confidence died tomorrow, that $20 bill would just be a very colorful napkin. So when we talk about a stock market crash, we're really talking about a confidence crash. We're talking about a moment where we all look at each other and say, wait, why are we paying this much for this stuff? It's a giant global realization that we might have been a bit too optimistic. Now, I know some people are going to say that stock market is just a playground for rich people and it doesn't affect normal people, but that's the uncomfortable part. Even if you don't own a single individual stock, your life is tied to this hope value. Your pension or retirement fund is likely invested there. The company you work for might rely on its stock price to get the loans to pay your salary. When the hope disappears from the market, banks get scared. When banks get scared, they stop lending money. When they stop lending money, businesses stop growing. It's all connected. The vibes of a bunch of traders in New York or London eventually trickle down to the price of your groceries and the security of your job. It's a weird, slightly annoying system, but it's the one we're living in right now. I'm curious what you think about this. Some people might think that the stock market is just a legalized casino and we should stop pretending it's a serious way to run an economy. Other people think it's the greatest engine for wealth ever created, and that crashes are just sales for smart investors. Do you think a crash is coming soon, or is all this talk just fear-mongering to get more clicks? So let me know in the comments which side are you on. And let's talk about the illusion of certainty. We spend our whole lives trying to find certainty. We want to know that our savings are safe. We want to know that the value of our home or our accounts is a hard fixed number. But the more you look at how the economy actually works, the more you realize that the value is a ghost. It's a shadow that grows longer or shorter depending on where the sun is. When the market crashes, nothing physically usually disappears. The factories are still there, the workers are still there, the technology is still there, only the price has changed. We have built a world where our collective mood determines our survival. If we are all feeling brave, the world is wealthy. If we're all feeling scared, the world is poor. It's a strange way to live, isn't it? We're all just walking around trading pieces of hope and calling it money, hoping that tomorrow everyone else will agree with us. So the next time you see a headline about billions lost, just remember the grocery store. The jars are still on the shelf. They just have a new stickers on them. The real question is not where the money went, it's why we were so sure that it was there in the first place. So the next time you open your portfolio and you see nothing but a sea of bleeding red, take a breath. Remember, that loss is an illusion until the moment you flinch. You haven't actually lost a single cent unless you panic and you hit that sell button. Unless, of course, your portfolio is all full of crypto crap and next Nvidia your friend told you about. Focus long term. Forget about the money you're investing right now because that's not for you anyway. It's for the person you are going to become in future. You're paying for a life where you can relax and be comfortable without needing to work. That's it for today, and I'll see you in the next one.